I was interviewing Gary Della. You know, he was on our Kiwis and comic book shows that we're doing. Haven't done it for a couple for a month now. About like his publishing, comic publishing business over in Australia. And he said, hey, I was showing him, you know, Sunspot, our magazine, which you can buy, you know, I'll put up a link soon, for about, I think, a couple bucks, right? 64-page full color magazine with articles and all that, and comics, 40 pages of comics. And I showed him that one of them had this work in it. And he said, oh, you know, we haven't printed this. It's only a PDF. And so I'm thinking about printing it. He said, well, you know, have you still, like, is a lettering on the same, you know, have you got it separate? I said, yeah. I've always, you know, always keep the art separate from the lettering. It's layers, you know, all that. And then he said, oh, you know, if you want, you can put in my anthology. And I said, okay, let me look at it. Let's see where all that work is. And so I went and found the work, and I found that there was more pages that you know, that hadn't looked at, because it's been a while. 5 years the last time I looked at it. But prior to that, we almost had like about most of a first issue of a comic done. So so he's, you know, so I looked at it and said, hey, look, I might actually have new pages for you to work with. And so when I was looking, you know, when I looked at it, I was like, this is pretty cool. You know, it'd be good to put a new story in. And then I put it up, and then Joachim, who I will be interviewing this week, right, this weekend, hopefully, if all goes well. And I said to him, I said, hey, I said, let me find the page. I didn't say anything to him. So he saw me post about it, and I said, look, you know, some of the pages are, but, you know, still penciled, they're not inked. And he said, hey, you know, I'd like to, you know, I'll sort it out. I'll ink it. I said, okay, well, here's the pages. And so sent it to him, and he said he, you know, spent a couple of days inking it for me, and it was, you know, I was so happy, because it just meant that, like, I didn't have to do it, because, you know, I don't like to work on other people's work, because, you know, it's something that, like, I just feel like I don't want to ruin it. But the only thing I usually ink is ink, right? And or illustrators ink, because that's something very different, because it's a very unique thing itself. For me, I'll do coloring, and I can, you know, I'm okay with that. So this is now, let me see. I'll bring up this page here so you can see this art. So this is one that was like I had problems with, because when it got scanned, when it was sent to me, let me bring it. Oh, it won't come over. So when it got scanned, got scanned in 4 pieces, right? So it was like 4 pieces here. It was like A4 size, so it was like scanned into 4 pieces, because he didn't have a huge A2 size scanner. And so what Joachim did was that he went across and redid the lines to make it work, so that they came together, you know, so there wasn't big huge gaps between them around here and stuff. And so this is the piece, you know, in hell and stuff. And so I had a bit of fun with this. I don't want to give away the story. I redid the entire story from scratch. I rewrote these 12 pages or 11 pages, right? So that that you know, when Gary prints it in his anthology over in the US, I mean in Australia, sorry, you get a new story and with new art, and you know, and everything's redone, so it's fresh. So you're not like having read it and then have to, you know, pay for the same story. And I had fun with the story, because, you know, I actually, the only character that is exists in this is Placenta, who's one of the main characters, kind of like a side character. You know, there's 2 main characters in Templeton, and so this is Templeton Behemoth 2.0, right? And so 11 pages of a story and redone, right? This is a 2-page, you know, it's like a splash, 2-page splash. And a lot of crazy stuff's happening here in hell, right? And so it's really, really well done. I kind of like think of like it's like almost like a Barry Windsor Smith sort of art style. It's very detailed. The line work's very similar. Kind of like if you look at Swamp Thing and stuff, it's kind of like that, you know. But it's just love. I love the way the original artist Armando de la Cruz. I've lost all contact with him, so this is like about 15 odd years ago, 14 odd years ago, and so I got to have a bit of fun with the story retelling. So here's this is the Circles of Hell, right? So treachery. This is what I meant. What I was talking about, Jim Rugg, right? Treachery is like the deepest level of hell. Where you've like betrayed your friends, betrayed your family, people that rely upon you, and you're treacherous to them, or a traitor to your country, right? And so it's something like that, like living in America, going death to America, right? Something like that, or like, or right, basically raising somebody else's flag and not your own country's flag, right? Stuff like that. It's kind of like, that's what I feel anyway. In my honest opinion, right? I am a HO. But yeah, so this is something that, like I said, did about 14 odd years ago. So, I felt like it was really cool. Like we get printed an Australian comic book before we get printed, we bring out Templeton ourselves, but today I got page 4 of issue 2 today for Templeton Horizon 4. Templeton itself is, is a character. Let me just let me pop that out of there. Is a horror comic, right? Supernatural. Sorry, I didn't realize it was so small. Apologies for that. It's a supernatural horror comic, and it's no holds barred, right? We just go hard out, like the purest, like most hardcore version of hell that I can think of. It's there. At the start, I kind of went like, oh, we could just do like a mature reader, M15, 15 years, 16 years, and you'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, but it's about hell. Like, why pull your punches if you're going to do your book on hell? Let's just go hard out. And so basically we went in, and I went and had to like second guess myself. And so I talked to the publisher, the CEO at Ages Incredi-Girl, Hawk Sanders. I said, man, I'm having trouble with this. Like, I can't make up my mind. And even like I said to James, who's the artist on this book, I said, hey, can we change it a bit? Put a top on or something like that, on the ladies. And I was like, and then Hawk goes, we don't have anything of this caliber, right? Of this story, type of story, like a full-on horror story. He said, well, what do why not just go for it? And I said, yeah. That's right, because when we did the original, I didn't put any boundaries on myself. Why am I putting boundaries on myself now? And so so when, okay, James, take it away, man. Like, just do whatever you feel and just go for it. And so, we ended up like, he's done amazing work on this. It's immaculate, like, this is one of like let me bring it up. I should just, this is a side character to the main book. Like, he's got a comic of his own. Are you not going to give it to me now? Where'd you go? There it is. I had to like raise it up. So this is this is a character called Matthew, and he is actually, and I will make him bigger and make myself smaller this time. And so he's like a side character who just shows up in like a 1 or 2 panels. That's it for the entire book. But he's got a story of his own, which is like probably like an 8-issue maxi series where you don't really, you kind of wonder, like, why do you have this guy talking in this freaking thing? Because he's part of the bigger part of the Plunge universe, right? And so he's in this another thing called Dirt. And Dirt is basically about a crime thriller drama based in Fiji. And so this character here, he's actually like a low-level paid assassin, hitman kind of thing. And so I wanted to like have him here kind of like looking a bit younger, but not so younger. And so, you know, we got the first issue done, and then you know, something happened, and you know, the artist decided that he didn't want to work on it anymore, and so we put it on the side, and now we're going to wait. You know, we've got an eye on an artist who we, you know, I want to bring him on later when there's, you know, money for him to, because as you know, you got to have money to pay your artists. So I said, like, yeah, I'm going to keep you in mind, and when we have the money, we'll pay you to do the other, you know, to do the entire series, because his art style is exactly very similar to the artist from the first issue. So it'll be pretty cool to carry on that style without having to redo the new style. You know, redo it, get a new artist to do the first issue all over again, which I've had to do at the moment for another book. And yeah, the time and energy, you know, it sucks. So I thought I'd look for someone to do Dirt, you know, who has the same, as close to the art style as possible. And so later on, when we go to do it, we'll be able to go, hey, you know, we're ready for you now. But of course, you know, like I said, you got to have the money to make sure that, you know, the guy's paid to do the work. Some, you know, sometimes not everybody is, you know, as the ones who go that way with a contract. But yeah. So one of, like, this week, right, I just got sent, actually that was probably, I had the right one there, hold on, the file. So I had a friend read one of our other comic books this week. I sent him the digital copy, and I said, hey, can you go through this and please let me know, you know, errors, grammar, and check through it, you know, because we're going to put this out for a special prize as a kind of like a preview to the books coming, you know, to our first manga, which is the Tortoise. And so let me just make sure I've got that there. Yeah, I've got it there. So the Tortoise is, you know, is our first ever manga, right? And so this is what I was talking about, like having a different artist come on and finish off somebody else's, you know, carry on with issue 2 of somebody else's work. So this is, right now we've got Thomas working on it. He's doing issue 2, 3, 4, and then he's going to go back and do issue 1. So that when we release the Kickstarter in print for this, we'll be able to release all of them as his book, because that's like, you know, it's kind of like honoring the fact that he's, you know, he's doing the work, but not only that, but his name is on the book, on the final product. So that's why we're going to release this first issue as a lower, you know, as a lower price point, as an entry to that. So this is, you know, this is Tomas's work, and I've put 2 pages of them in there. So like in the start and at the end, they're all part of the story. You know, it's a good kind of good for you to what to look for now, you know, when you go to story, and then years earlier. So this is Levi's work, and he's done like 24 pages or something for issue 1. You know, it's basically about a you know, a young girl who's always wanted a turtle, finally gets a turtle, and you know, turtles can live up for friggin' hundreds of years, right? And so this is really is a story about her and her, you know, her pet, and it's a mature reader comic book, and it's about her and her relationship as well as growing up as a 22-year-old, right? And now what should they go on a overseas journey, kind of like what we call OE over here, we call it OE, overseas experience, where you go and work over, you know, either go for a holiday or do kind of like go and work there to learn about the culture. My brother's done it. I think my sister did it as well. I think my brother's done it twice. He went to Thailand to teach English, and he also went to China as well. He's living over in Aussie at the moment. Both my brothers are living over in Aussie. So now let me show you this piece here. So this is kind of like, you know, part of the story where they go on the OE. And so, as you know, like in, you know, all around the world, is Habitat for Humanity is a thing, right? So as part of the Plunge universe, we have our own, we have a religious group called the Holy Temple of the Polyhedron, right? And so they have their own sort of like their, religion-based thing, and they have all sorts. That's the main religion of the, of our world, the Plunge universe. And so here you go, like these, Amber, who's the lead character, and her friend Kirsten, who are on an OE building a house, right, for a chief. And so this is the artwork here. So it's being a true manga, right? You read from right to left, right? So you start over here and you go across the page and so on and across. So this is going to be released in the next couple of weeks. It's digital at a special price point, right, on risingsunpublishing.com. I'll put the page up soon and show you guys where you can find it with a link and stuff. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. And I'll because I wanted to objectify on this, and so I got a friend to just get, rip it, not rip it apart, but just go in and look for errors and stuff. So I got a whole bunch of like photos and saying this is where it's wrong, this, you need to fix this or do this or that. And he said he enjoyed the story, right? And this is just the first issue. So this is just like this is the first issue is more about the relationship and when they're getting involved in a bit more idea of what's going on. It's a 4-issue series, and it's got to do with going to another culture and how that culture, sees things, and and what they expect from you as a stranger to them, and what you expect, your own expectations of another culture, right? Because a lot of times, like you don't know the rules, and people don't, as in Westerner people in the other country doesn't know your rules either, because you're, when you live in the West, you're very, you're kind of like sheltered from a lot of how people live across on the other side, over the fence, right? And so this, I kind of like wanted to bring that sort of aspect to the story, and also, just this, to have Amber go on a journey and to, kind of like discovering herself, discovering the world around her, and she's a very kind person, helping, goes and takes a week off to go and help build some stuff, right? Help the natives, as they say, to build a house for their chief, right? And so, it's all, it's kind of like when I was actually doing this, I actually did a lot of study into turtles. It was like, I was like, well, if I'm going to do a friggin' thing, I need to know what I'm talking about, right? And so I think this is about, gosh, maybe about 7-8 years ago I might have done it. I can't remember exactly when I started writing it, but I mean, working on it, because I had a dream about the girl on the beach, right? So when I showed you that, that little, this whole, let me just bring this up, and this is the weird part. Like a lot of my stories, comic book stories, come from me having a dream, right? So I like, I know it seems a bit weird, but like, I mean, if you understand, just imagine you're in a dream, and you can be anything in that dream, right? So I'm dreaming, and next thing you know, I'm on a beach. There's a little girl. There's mum and dad, right? And I'm going, there's turtles, and I want to, because all you're doing is watching, right? You're not actually, you're not. I wasn't actually, what is it called? Lucid dreaming, right? Where I can control what's going on. So I was just like seeing this going on, right? And the little girl's going, oh, I want a turtle, and so on. And then I'm dreaming. Next thing you know, she gets a turtle years later. And then I was like, I wake up. Oh no, there's like, then it turns into friggin', something weird. And I was like, then I wake up, go, man, that sounds like a pretty interesting story. So I jot it down. I put out like, I do like I do a step outline, which is like, this happened there. Page 1, this happens. Page 2, this happens, kind of thing. And so I plotted it out. And then I was like, I know the 12, because it was 12 pages of what I wrote. And then when we started working on it, I was like, 12 pages is a bit weird to, because I'm not doing an anthology. Why don't I just expand it into like a whole, 40 pages or something like that? Then I was like, oh, let's just do an entire graphic novel, right? And so it ended up being a graphic novel, then became a manga, because it looked at Levi's work, and his art style was kind of like, you know, manga style, right? If you really think about it. And so, you know, he'd come earlier to Rising Sun Comics and said, hey, look, I'd like to work for you guys. And then I think Hawk just said, look, you need to work a bit more on your, you know, whatever. And so then he came back a couple of years later and said, hey, you know, I'm ready. And so that's how we got, you know, he came over across to me as an artist, right? Because I only deal with artists once the contracts are written. I don't sort of like deal beforehand with them. I just look at their work and say, oh yeah, that'll work, or not, or maybe it'll work for that story. And so, you know, it was like I said, you know, I mean, sorry. So, you know, that was how they, you know, had started. And so we had, like, you know, come up with ideas and stuff, and then like I said, I had to go research. And so it must be around 2018, right? So 6 years ago, around about, maybe, yeah, about 6 years ago is when I had the dream. And so, you know, I had a look at it, I found this poster, so I thought I might as well include this, right? If you want to help, you know, if they're still doing this moratorium, because they were trying to protect the sea turtles, right? Because there was a whole thing where people would eat them during rituals, right? And, you know, as you know, like, was like turtle shell soup or whatever they call it, stuff like that. And, like, you know, these creatures live for hundreds of years, and, you know, you just, okay, we'll just take them out of the sea and eat them, right? And that's that. And so it's kind of become like a, you know, yeah, like I learned so much about the green sea turtle. And it's kind of like, you know, they come and lay their eggs in Fiji on the island, and then mom goes away, dad goes away, right? And then, like, they basically fight to get to the water against the friggin' birds that come and try to eat them, right? And so the survivors are the ones that we see, you know, in the sea. So it's really, it was kind of really eye-opening. So it kind of became my, not only became like a, you know, like a comic book story, also became like a conservation piece for me, right? Because, you know, as much as, you know, I like to recycle, as you know, and like I say, like, everything begins at home, right? So if I'm not recycling, why would I expect anybody to do that? If I'm not concerned about the environment, why would I expect anybody else to be concerned about it? So yeah, it was really wicked eye opener to see, you know, them struggling and all they had to go through. I was watching videos and stuff, if I remember right, because I tend to forget it with my head injuries and stuff. And so yeah, I think I must have spent about a couple of months just looking at all this stuff and actually doing researches on how baby turtles, you know, their lifespan and all that. And I included some of that in the book. It's not to bore people, but like to just show this is, you know, so that, you know, what their journey is in life, you know. And so hopefully, you know, you guys will pick it up, you know, and read it, because like it's kind of like a supernatural mythological horror tale, you know, almost, as well as kind of like a drama. But yeah, it's kind of like slice of life kind of thing, but it has horror and supernatural elements to it. And I love what, you know, what Tomas is bringing to the table as well, because like his style of tones and stuff like that, and his style of art, like, you know, this one here, you know, I just love this piece, so I want to include that in there, you know, as well. You know, this character looks so cool. Yeah, especially Anio. She's awesome. This is just like a female warrior. I thought that was pretty cool. But one of the other things is that, like, when we do the Kickstarter for them, we've got like all the, yeah, man. It's interesting because it's you know, it's my first manga, because I've always, you know, I've loved anime and stuff for decades now, you know, almost like about what, 20, 30 years. And it's, you know, it's kind of like tying in stuff of what I like about Japanese art styles when it comes to comics and stuff, and just, you know, and then bringing your mind stories into it. One of the things it's going to show is like I was saying, like, you know, we're going to have like let me just pop this down, some variant covers that have already been done, right? You know, that was already done when we like about 2 years ago or something. And so let me pop up one. So this is a mature book, so you get mature, you know, content for covers, and, you know, people, you know, if you wanted to like collect covers, right, cover art and stuff like that. So what I did was I had James, you know, as I mentioned, artist on Templeton, Rising 4, do some covers, and he did amazing work on them. Let me find it. Yeah, this one here, man, like, this is one of my favorite covers. Like, it's the same one, kind of similar on the vein and take off of the image I just showed. And you know, it's a wraparound cover. I love James' work. It's amazing. So this is a wraparound cover for the Tortoise. Probably I'll put on issue 2, like a variant cover for issue 2. And then the other one here, you know, is this one here. Bring it up. This would be for issue 1, I would say, which is kind of like it's this is the one with the warriors on it, and with you know, with both Kirsten and Amber on it. And I've kind of like, I've done a flats to this, the color flats to it, and I might leave it as a color flats rather than like doing tones. We'll see. And also, they're both, you know, 2 wraparound covers, so there'll be like cover Bs for the Kickstarter releases when we do it in print. The other one there is this one here. Is so you're probably looking at cover A, B, like 1, 2, and 3, all B covers. So this would be for cover A. I mean, sorry, for issue A, I should say, the B cover for issue A. So I've actually done the flats for this as well. So, you know, make it easy on whoever ends up doing the final covers, colors on it. Yeah. So with our with all our comics, we basically put them out. We'll be putting them out as digital first, with on Rising Sun Comics page. And so if you visit you know, the publisher's page here, you'll be able to get to our, you know, our own personal, you know, Plunge Studios page here, which is this one, and you'll see products that, you know, our own sort of line of products, comics, I guess, or magazine. The reason I say products is because there's a magazine on there as well, not just comic books.